What is up, Packers fans? And welcome back to the Daily Draft, brought to you by our friends. Hey, I did it. Look at that. By our friends right there at Badger State Brewing Brewski Light Lager. I am Ross Uglem, the host of Pack Report. Joining me right here is Jacob Morley, and we are going to, as quickly as we can, break down Green Bay's Day 2 selections and preview Day 3. And what happened?
I felt like the camera was really weird, like you set it up, and I don't want to sit any closer to you. I have to be on your lap.
I didn't
to
say
be
what-
in the screen.
When I said what happened, I was more referring to, what happened yesterday. How did this happen?
I don't know. Well, they took a big offensive lineman that was not ranked very high on the consensus big board,
And ranked even lower by Ross Uglem.
Yeah, as stated many a times on the web. And then they took a wide receiver, maybe. But no, and I don't mean like to be down on Savion, but I will say, we talked about this, the two positions I trust the most for the Packers when they're making their evaluations are wide receiver and offensive line. So even if I'm not wild about the Belton pick, I'm going to just err on the side of Green Bay is usually right about these guys. And he fits what they like to do. I mean, he's heavier. That's been something that we've kind of looked at the last several years. I haven't really taken anyone as big as him. Although if he plays guard, that kind of goes
he's
up
not that
up the
different from
door.
Sean Ryan
No.
in size, and they'll do that. Like if Brian's not lying, which I thought was funny, because if you listen to his press conference, we think he's a tackle maybe. Who does he remind you of? TJ Lang and Josh Sitton.
Two guys that were tackles until they weren't. So
yeah. So I think he's a guard. I think he's a right guard of the future. I think him and Banks, I don't know. And to be fair, I had a 4th round grade on Belton, which means I think he can be a starter.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't have taken him round 2. Obviously, I wouldn't have a 4th round grade on him. They love him, clearly, visited him. A very rare human to pass there. But I tell you what, if you want to criticize the Packers for a Raz pick, that's what this was. All Goody said was, there aren't many people that move like him at that size. That just was like, that's a Raz card. And fine.
There
isn't. Right.
Yeah. Like we talked about, and this is something that I still just wonder, right? Like, they don't take the 6'7", 350-pound guy. Usually that guy doesn't move like they want him to move. And those guys, usually, if they do, they go early. And the Packers are never picking early. So to me, it's like, okay, well, do they then have to kind of, take the guy that's 305 that isn't as big? It doesn't have the long arms.
And this time I think it was they had to take the guy who was 24 years old.
Could be. Yeah, he's an older prospect. So I think you're right, though. I think he's going to play guard. It's interesting, though, that it seems like they don't really like Sean Ryan. And it seems like they maybe don't love Rasheed Walker either. Or maybe they just don't love them enough to look at the market and say, this guy is good. Good players are getting a lot of money on the open market.
Especially the Sheed money is going to be obscene.
We want to pay a great player. And so that's, to me, I think that's kind of what this says to me, or maybe not. I don't know. They also could be, I've seen this thrown around. I think this makes a lot of sense. You got your stuff handed to you in the playoffs because you didn't have a plan. You didn't have a plan beyond your top 5.
Yeah.
And some of that was just injury luck. Some of that was just maybe some weird roster choices on game day. But I think they want 7, 8 guys that can play, which is never, that's not a bad idea. That's not a bad thing to have, because that is a position that there is attrition often. Like, these guys there's no way your 5 starters are going to play all 17 games. It's very unlikely. So you need guys that can play 6, 7, 8 deep. And I think that's what they're looking at with this.
And if they would have taken Anthony Belton 2 or 3 rounds later, 1 or 2 rounds later, fine. I didn't like the value historically. And here's where the interesting thing is to me is, you're right. And the internet / I am right. Brian Gutekunst has struggled when he goes way away from consensus. They have not been good picks. There's not a lot of examples of, other than I guess maybe like year 2 AJ Dillon, he was kind of dunking on people's heads because Dillon was really good, but that ended up not like working out like wonderfully.
Yep.
There are not a lot of Brian Gutekunst goes way off the
list them. AJ Dillon's probably the best. Yeah. And that says a lot in itself. He wasn't bad. He wasn't, but he just like wasn't, he's fine.
Tyron Hopper last year.
Hopper so far, not great. Josiah DeGuara so far.
Josiah DeGuara
was not great.
Was not great.
Amari Rogers, not great.
Was that different than consensus? Or was that just odd?
I think it was similar to like what Belton is. Like,
okay. Two rounds, basically. Yeah. Okay. With that said, wide receiver and O-line are where I'm willing to basically shut up because they know ball. And while those things have not worked out great, those two positions. And I'll say this, I've gotten hurt because we're going to transition to the Savon Williams pick that I've kind of talked myself into it. You look at consensus, I think it was pretty close actually to when they took him. I was lower on Savon Williams, and part of that is trying to learn from my mistakes. I was very high on Deebo Samuel, Laviska Shenault, and Malachi Corley.
Same.
And Deebo worked. I looked really smart for a little bit, and then he got a huge contract, and now they're like trying to offload him for nothing. And Deebo was a good pick. Don't get that twisted. But Viska never worked, and Malachi Corley, it's 1 year, but he's been sort of like, and what we're talking about is these projecty Cordarrelle Patterson, like
the guys that once the ball is in their hand,
it's awesome.
They're terrifying, but like, how do we get it? How do we get it into their hands?
Yeah, and so
I'll say, like, of those three guys you just mentioned, of the Corleys, of the
Cordarrelles, of the
only one of them was in a Shanahan offense, and that was Deebo.
Yeah,
and now Savion will be the other. And so you want to know how they're going to use Savion. Go look at how I would expect. Go look at how the 49ers use Deebo. Look at how they used Tyler Ervin in the past. So there's a blueprint for,
and that's worth if it. Okay, I'll tell you this: if it works well, and Brian got mad but somebody said gadget, and he's like, no, he's a wide receiver. Sure,
yeah,
but even if he works really well as a gadget guy and as a return specialist, that's worth a 3rd round pick. I think after kind of getting over it, thinking about it, I'm much more annoyed by the Belton pick than I am by the Savion pick. I actually get it, the Savion pick. I think he could be super useful. And in the 3rd round, you don't have to go get a full-time starter. I don't think the hit rate would really justify that.
And we'll look at the Belton pick. To me, the biggest frustration was there was a lot of good players on the board that I was like, man, this guy would come in right away.
Corners and pass
like Trey Amos would potentially start for this team. Ravel would potentially start for this team. Landon Jackson would be a really nice depth developmental piece at edge. They were all sitting there, and
Mike Green, if you're into
that, if you're okay with that, but it doesn't.
Or if he just passes if you like what you or not like. If you accept what you found in your investigation, we're not here to
but at the same time, like, hey, if Belton works out and he's a really good player for you, then who cares what we think? And that happens. That happens a lot where the consent, even though, actually the consensus is usually pretty good.
Yeah.
So I was gonna say the consensus is wrong a lot, but it isn't. It really isn't. So we'll see. I hope they're right. I get it. Like, I get the tools, and that was what I was getting to earlier. Is when you look at the Packer Report draft guide and you look at Belton. The red flag on him would be how big he was. We have him listed as a tackle in the guide, and I think he's going to get a shot to play there. But I think he's going to, in his rookie year specifically, I think he'll be a guy that, if you're not starting, like, can we have you play 3 positions where you kind of be this super sub across the board if we can get you to that spot as a rookie. But like with him, they love a short shuttle and they love a 3-cone, and he is right there in both of them. For his size,
at being huge,
and so I think that's really what it is. Is like, we like the way he moves.
So I'll say this as well, and then let's move to day 3 because we got to get this to Andy and hopefully he gets it to you guys before they kick things off here. My frustration or concern with this class, there is a world in which they get very little help. Now, that would, I think, depend on some good health. There's a way this plays out, folks, and I mean, oh, you're so negative. I have been accused of being such a massive Packers homer and being such an a-hole that I hope it's somewhere in the middle. If the Packers receiving core stays healthy, there's a chance these 3 top 100 picks don't do very much, because even good wide receiver, think about Devontae Adams, think about even good wide receiver prospects take a year and a half sometimes. Some of them, let's go. And I think Matthew Golden has some polish where that's a possibility. But there's a possibility if Reed, Wicks, and Dobbs stay healthy that Matthew Golden is 4th on the pecking order this year, just because he's a rookie, not because he's not the most talented guy, just because he's a rookie. There is a chance, my brothers, that you don't see Savion Williams this season, other than to return kicks because Keyshawn said he won't do it anymore.
Yeah, and I do wonder if it is the Tyler Irvin package where it's
okay, sure, okay.
You're going to return kicks, and we've got 8 plays for you, and you're going to maybe get them up to.
And then I think if things go well, you don't see Anthony Belton. I don't think you want to see Anthony Belton. So it's just one of those situations where, man, number one, you hope Goody's board is good, because boy, at that press conference, he said the board about 11 times. I get it.
But he also said, I mean, it sounded like the board didn't really fall the way they wanted it to, because the first thing he said, he's like, I didn't expect to be up here talking about 2 wide receivers in the first 2 days.
Yeah.
And so that to me would say there were some.
I think Kansas City knew, and I think they sniped Noel Williams.
Maybe that's our fault. Yeah, I'm just kidding. But yeah, he was very much a Packer type, and he's a good player, and I think that was a target for them in round 3.
I think they specifically moved up 2 spots in front of Green Bay for that. Anyway,
maybe.
So yeah, that's a concern when you're a Super Bowl contender, and I think there's a chance that like you don't see your 2nd or 3rd round pick this year.
Right. And or Belton comes out and he just takes someone's job. That'd be cool, because that would mean he is really good. You know, like from Jump Street, like, oh, this guy's awesome. He needs to be on the field. That would be cool.
And he's 24, so it's not like, I mean,
is he like, he's the same age as Sean Ryan,
right? Yeah, that's probably true. Okay, looking forward to day 3. You've got 5 picks because you got 2 7th rounders. Brian just said he wants more picks, so we'll see how that goes. You would think it would be defense heavy, just to sort of round out the roster. I mean, they need a linebacker. They need a nose tackle. Like, have to have it. They might take CJ West in round 4 and play him more than any of the guys they took in front of him. Yeah, I'm serious. It could happen. Baron Sorrell for me, defensive end, edge rusher guy from Texas. I would love. That would change my opinion of this draft a lot. Just take Shadur.
At this point,
I'm serious.
I wouldn't, but
I would. The haters can hate, and this has nothing to do with my bit about maybe Jordan Love's not good. This is like Shadur is my 20th overall player. We're in round 4. I would just take him. Take him and block.
I think for all the reasons he's falling, that would be a mess in Green Bay.
But Green Bay is the most
you get
well-built.
Jordan comes out and throws one bad ball and Deion's on Twitter.
Put my
boy in.
I block Deion's number and block all his social media accounts and just go forth.
Yeah, that's what someone's gonna have to do. I bet.
What, dude? By the way, one bad ball from Jordan, I would be like,
you have my phone number. I'm in the DMs. I know how you are.
Oh man, I'm joking.
This guy's not Aaron Rodgers. He doesn't throw the ball on a pin, on a needle every single time.
I've been spoiled.
Yes, you have.
Anything else? Like I said, I really like. I think CJ West would be great. Sorrell would be great.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say anyone, because yesterday we're like, oh man, there's like 18 guys we really like still, and then they took 0 of them, and they were available. So we'll see. Zeke Biggers is a guy that I like.
Oh yeah, that'd be good.
He's good. I think the LSU.
I'd take Jalen Royals. Why did they just take Jalen Royals?
I don't know. Joshua Farmer, someone they brought in for a visit. He could be someone that they target. Ty Robinson from Nebraska is more of that.
Farmer would be a really good value. He's 305. I don't know if he's playing nose for you, but like he's not.
Right.
He's not Colby Wooden.
It was the LSU, the other Savion Jones went. Is Swinson still there?
Swinson's still there. That'd be a really good pick, and he's big enough for them,
Yeah.
I think. So that's what I actually thought was happening when Dave Robinson was like Savion, and I was like, oh, they took the LSU edge. That's interesting. He was like Williams. I was like, dog, what?
Our pal Jacob Westendorf likes to tip picks to us, and Ross gets really mad about it. So I went to him because he knew the pick, and I was like, well, who is it? And he goes, Savion. I was like, oh, tier 1 edge.
Yeah.
And he said Savion. So I was like, oh, I thought you were talking about the other one. I really thought, like, throughout this whole process, what Green Bay typically does at wide receiver, Savion Williams flies directly in the face of that.
Yes.
So
Honor was there too still.
Yeah, and not because he's not like the athlete that they type. He didn't test everything, so we don't know like what his 3-cone or broad jump.
Everything we know is awesome.
It would have been. You watch him play, he would have hit those things. Like I have no doubt in my mind. It's just the production wasn't there, and he was not even the best wide receiver on his team. So he was the best athlete on his team, no doubt about it. But
one thing I would do now, by this point too, is Jack Sawyer.
Yeah, why not? Sure. Yeah.
T-Rex. Everybody's like, oh, T-Rex arms. In round 4, I don't care about T-Rex arms.
Yep. That's fine with me.
He's a ball player.
JJ Pews, Ole Miss, another D tackle. There's a lot of D tackles left still.
Yeah. Not bad. Oh, no. Guys that can play. My king, Deion Walker, they won't, but I would now.
How far is he going to drop?
6'7", 330, I would.
At what point did you say, okay? At what point did you say, all right, well, that's fine with me?
Your king, Logan Brown.
Yeah. At this point, do they need him? No. Do they need another 24-year-old offensive tackle that could maybe play guard?
My king, Jeff Bossa.
Bossa's cool.
Yeah.
Teddy Buchanan's cool.
Zay Alexander's slow, but Zay Alexander could get the Kalen King treatment where finally Green Bay is just like, yeah, whatever.
Could be. Or the Burt kid out of Ohio State. There's a lot of players that they might still like here. That they will still like. My
kings, Cody Lindenberg and Jack Kaiser. Would.
Yeah. This is the range. This is your range where you're like, okay, do they need a backup center? I don't know. Jackson Slater is someone that would be very high on their.
I think they take a second offensive lineman at some point today.
Yeah, would it be? I mean, Slater would be cool. He's a good center prospect. Just played at a smaller school. He has played tackle in the past even. So he's someone that I think that could be interesting. Tim Smith, the D-tack from Alabama.
Our guy, Marquise Siegel. Guy.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
CJ West again.
CJ West, yeah.
Is my guy Mello Dotson gone?
I don't think so.
I like Mello quite a bit.
I think he's available.
Which, if I'm standing on the table for a Jayhawk, that's pretty.
Yeah,
that's pretty significant. It's not nothing.
Yeah, Black. Iowa, another Walker type.
You like the Medrano kid from UCLA?
Who?
The linebacker. You said you like both UCLA linebackers. You told me.
I was talking about Femi.
Oh. You're not talking about.
No.
Well, Medrano is like a 9'7" Raz guy that doesn't really know how to play football, but at the point that you would get him.
Castro, at this point, he's good. He's a good ball player.
I love Sebastian Castro.
Fidel Diggs.
Sebastian Castro is a less athletic Micah Hyde.
Yeah. I think
the problem with Castro is I don't know if you can give him to Bisaccia because of the athletic limitations.
No, man, he'll run his face through a snowblower.
Yeah.
He doesn't care. Like, so that I think
my only point is like Castro to me is more valuable on defense, and can he play for your defense? Because I don't think Castro can play teams. Or I would.
That's your day 3 philosophy. Are you going to take a guy like the UCLA linebacker? You just say, oh, he's an athlete, but he can't play.
What's a great example?
You want to take a guy that can play, that can't athlete.
A great example would be Enigbare. They're not using Enigbare on teams.
Nope.
But they're like, hey, he's good, and we want him on our team. And that was sort of the end of it.
Nick Nash.
My king.
Triple Up.
My 6th-year king.
Triple Up. Keep going with the olds. I mean, they're on a streak of 24-year-olds. So Savion's low-key kind of old, too. I don't know if people know that. He's going to be 24 as a rookie, like soon in his rookie year.
The Packers, we're in win now. Give me Willie Lampkin. 5'10" to put him at fullback.
Figure it out. We'll figure it out.
Let's go.
Put him at 3-tech.
This is turning into just name guys.
I know. We are just like looking at the list of who's available. Though.
This podcast would have been a lot less fun at 10 o'clock last night. I'm just going to shoot you straight.
Yeah. No, we weren't.
We weren't happy.
Yeah.
we worked through it. We worked through it with all of you. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Drink Badger State. Buy the guide. Go Pack Go.